maestro on the most respectful way. And I didn't know how to do it, and I just sat down until he went into the gym and started giving lessons. So I ran up, I would get changed and go down, and I had to do 500 push-ups. But the story is that it was such a great, I loved him. I never got a lesson from him, but he spoke with me a couple of times, and it was really a great man. And I remember that, I'm never going to forget this story. I saw him, he was sitting in the chair, and I started thinking how to say, "Good evening, sir," in the most respectful way. And I think, the students should have that. I mean, I started working in the States, and it's a little different there. And the kids would come into the club, they wouldn't say anything. And they wouldn't greet the coach or even each other. And I demand that, And maybe some parents ask me, well, you don't have a right to tell my child what to say and when to say it. But I think it's important to respect the coach than the opponent. I think that's the first step to being successful. So I just wanted to share this little story.
Talán még, nem értettem, bocsánat, még talán annyit a magyar vívással kapcsolatban, hogy a mai magyar vívás még azért mindig vannak eredménye.
There's still result.
És ez még mindig a régi technikának köszönhető.
And it's because of the old technique.
És sajnos el kell ismerni azt, hogy más országok, mondjuk Oroszország.
Azt mondjuk sajnos.
Sajnos. Hát mondd úgy, hogy nem mondd azt, hogy azt látni kell, hogy más országok.
But we have to realize that, for instance, like Russia.
Sokkal jobb eredményeket érnek el a fizikai felkészítés
területén. They
területén.
have much better results because of their physical abilities.
És ebből kifolyólag a magyar vívás még mindig a technikában szeretné látni azt, hogy megoldja a problémáit.
Oh, that's a good one. Therefore, the Hungarians still believe in the technique, so they wouldn't change because they believe the technique, the solid technique would eventually overcome.
Nagyon sok technikai iskolát adunk
Magyarországon. In Hungary, there's a lot of technical lessons.
Ezzel próbáljuk pótolni azt,
and that's how we try to compensate.
Ami látható, mondjuk egy orosz kardvívó fizikailag sokkal felkészültebb.
We try to compensate with
hogy egy orosz kardozó lehet látni fizikailag.
Like we can see, let's say the Russian fencer is in great shape, even though they're smoking with it.
Felkészültebb, mint egy magyar.
They're a lot more prepared physically. So that's how we try to compensate it, because, as I said, we still believe in the technique, and we try to compensate that great physical ability with the Hungarian techniques.
Why don't you compensate your own technical skills with a great shape?
Miért nem? It's a good question. Miért nem kompenzáljátok a technikát és az erőnlétet együtt?
Jó kérdés.
Good question. I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
Lazy.
Lazy? Lusta?
No, it's not.
Maybe.
Egyrészt, mert a tudományos oldalról lemaradásba került. Nincsenek meg a feltételek Magyarországon annak, hogy
We don't have the ability.
Elsősorban a feltételek hiányoznak. Mondjuk
he says that
az orvosi háttér.
He says we don't have the opportunities.
És
we don't have the opportunities to. I don't really get it. I don't really understand. But he says we don't have the abilities to do it like doctors or trainers, agility.
Trainers,
medical stuff. We don't have that in Hungary.
Because of money.
Because of financial problems.
És a vívó mesterek többsége kizárólag többnyire a technikai felkészítés részesítés.
And so basically what the Sabre coaches are
Ezt éppen az Arándi Csaba is leírtak,
responsible for. The Hungarian coach is basically responsible for the technical stuff. That's what they know the best. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense to go out and start doing all of agility work that they don't know a whole lot about. Like in other countries, I'm not sure, but one of my greatest friends, Francis Bogichev, used to fence for Germany, and they had like the fencing coach, a psychologist, a coach who would do the conditioning exercises, the doctor, like the team. In Hungary, there's only the master.
Amateurs. A little bit
Max
amateur.
130.
És igen,
Yeah.
és a 80-as évekig gyakorlatilag ezt
You can, by the way, you can read about this whole issue in his books that I actually read. That was written, I think, mikor írtak könyvét? 1980.
88-ban.
That was written in
Magyarországon.
1988, and I read that, and he does mention that 20 years ago. And you
Az
can
oroszok-
imagine it's not getting better.
Az
Oh,
oroszok
yeah.
már a 60-as években a fizikai felkészítést sokkal jobban megkezdték.
The Russians, mondok valamit erre egyébként, mert olvastam valamit. The Russians started this physical trainings back in the 60s, and you can see the results as
És-
early 80s till
Mi
until basically now.
nálunk a 80-as évek közepén kezdtek észbe kapni.
And here in Hungary, the coaches started to realize that in the mid 80s. But
És,
now there's a 20
és
years,
nincs meg hozzá a szakmai tudás.
and we don't have the
Resource.
we don't have not really but the
Resources.
knowledge like the
Resources.
right resources. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
come abroad.
Well, and I
They
think
have to come abroad. Take your techniques with you.
I'd like to, mit akartam mondani, Csaba bácsi.
Mondtad, hogy ezzel kapcsolatban, hogy a 60-as években elkezdtem az orosz.
Oh, then back to the 60s. I read an article with Maestro Lebowski, a Poznekov's coach. And a friend of mine emailed it to me, and it was a very short interview. And he said that I started working with Poznakov back in 1983, and I was a young coach. And I thought I did everything perfectly. I was the best coach that's out there until 86 or 87. And then I realized that saber fencing is a technical sport. How interesting is that? How interesting is that? Azt szeretném mondani, let me translate to him because I think it would. Olvastam egy interjút a Poznakov edzőjéről, aki 1983-ban elkezdett foglalkozni a Poznakovval. Azt hitte, hogy én mindent tökéletesen csinálok, minden én vagyok a legkirályabb, 85-86-ig, és akkor rájöttem, hogy a vívás egy technikai sport. Yes.
I watched the starting in round of 64s in 2007 World Championships,
Néztem 2007-es világbajnokságon a 60-es táblán,
and Sabre there, some of it was slow beginning and beautiful technique again. It's changing again.
Hogy lassan kezdjük, gyönyörű technikával fejeztek be az emberek.
It's going back, and
Hogy
technique is
látja,
coming
the way
again.
you said it's going back,
Yeah.
the old fashioned way, ahogy ő látja meg vissza a régi időkbe egy kicsit. Yes and no, because this is my opinion. Hadd mondjuk el egy story. I read about, I think the 1936, when did Karpati won? Mikor Karpati nyert először olimpiát?
Olimpiát 56-ban.
56? No, it was somebody else. A más volt. There was,
56-ban volt az első, és 60-ban volt a másik.
ez egy másik. I read about a Hungarian Olympic champion, and shame on me, I forgot his name. It's really a big shame, but
There are so many.
so many, exactly. The final point was a 7 feint attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, boom. That was the last. Az utolsó, egy olimpiai magyar olimpiai bajnok volt, ugyanúgy jött egy 2 cseles támadással.
És
So try to do.
annyit, hogy volt egy szemlélet Magyarországon, és ez még mind a mai
There is an
napig
ideal.
hogy a vívás, ugye azt mondják, hogy a vívás kiegészítő sportja a vívás.
Sabre is supplementing. Sabre, that's the best way.
Vívó, ne fusson, ne!
The Sabre is supplementing, like fence, like like the cross trainings, like for football, there's running, or for water polo is swimming, there's like cross training.
Transfers.
And for fencing, it should be fencing because
Hogy a vívás kiegészítő sportja a vívás.
that's more fun.
Hogy ez volt a szemlélet. Tehát
That's the way masters
ez
and
még
coaches look
mind
at
a
it,
mai napig.
and up to this day.
Attól függetlenül, hogy a technika az nagyon jó még mindig.
Up to this day, even though the technique is still very great, and I don't,
Ez nem is a mai vívómestereknek köszönhető,
and it's not
hanem,
thankful for today's coaches,
hanem
but
akiknek volt szerencséjük a régiektől ezt a technikát meg.
who were the fortunate enough to work with the old fencing masters. And as he said, fencing can be compensated with fencing. I met Rudolf Karpati when I was 7 years old. My grandpa was in the military, Rudolf Karpati was in the middle there. He was 4 times, 5 times Olympic champion, one of the greatest fencers, saber fencers of all times. And my parents signed me up for fencing because I was extremely fat and I was eating chocolate and wouldn't do anything. And they signed me up for fencing. And my grandfather introduced me to Rudolf Karpati. And he said, do you know who that person is? No, I actually don't. I mean, he would turn around, army uniform, white hair. My name is Rudolf Karpati. And I was shocked. I didn't know what to do for a second. And he asked me one thing. What else do you do besides fencing? And I thought, nothing. I love fencing. And that's all I want to do. And he goes, it's great. But you should be doing swimming as well, for cross training. But that was his.
Azt nem tudom, hogy miről volt most szó, de
A Kárpáti Rudi bácsinak.
a Kárpáti Rudolf egyébként nagyon jó magas és távoluló volt például.
Rudolf Karpati was great in athletics, like a long distance jump.
Oké, köszönöm szépen.
Well, thank you very much. If there's any other questions.
Holnap folytatjuk.
Köszönjük.